Hey everybody, JJ here. Welcome back for another episode of Flip Side Up with JJ. We're doing our Zoom networking through my networking group. And today we have a couple guest speakers with us today that are phenomenal guys. Oh my gosh, the amount of knowledge and experience, this is unbelievable with these two guys. But I would like to introduce my good friends, Mark Abramovich and Rob Hanson. How you guys doing?
Doing great.
Doing great, JJ.
Cool, man. Hey, good to see you guys. Good to see you guys. It's always a fun time here, having my friends on the Zoom channel and the YouTube and everything else. So, what do you guys? Why don't you ever so briefly tell us what you guys are going to talk about today, and then I'll cut out.
Okay. Well, tonight we're going to be talking about how to be an investor's agent, how to increase your opportunities by working with investors, and the different topics from finding a property to knowing how to finance it for your investors so that when you work with them, you can help them get that deal.
Wow. That sounds great. So, okay, well, with no further ado, guys, take it away.
So how many of you have closed at least one transaction? Real estate transaction. Let's be more specific. Okay. And how many of you have not closed a single one? Okay. And how many of you just simply clicked on the wrong Zoom link to be here? All right. Well, congratulations for being here. Because on a Wednesday evening, for you to show up to do something to improve your skills says a lot about you. You are that 1%. Okay. It's an incredibly small percentage of people that will do something. And I just want to, congratulate you guys for being here and taking this time to learn something that will help you. What we will talk about is how to have more opportunities, how to make more money, and how to have more time freedom, in real estate. And hopefully along the way, you'll actually find out how to have more fun. Would this be time well spent? Okay. Rob, why don't you tell everybody a little about yourself?
So I'm Rob Hanson. I live in the Philadelphia area. I'm on the New Jersey side, about 5 miles from Philadelphia. I've been in real estate a long time. My dad was in real estate, and so I consider that generational wealth. And I've been investing since the early 80s. And my dad was a real estate agent and also an appraiser. So one day I had just gotten out of culinary school and I was working in Atlantic City as a chef. And my dad comes to me and he says, listen, I found this property. The numbers work out. It needs to be renovated. You have to buy it. And I didn't know a thing about it. I grew up listening to real estate at our kitchen table, and I hated it. And one of the jobs that my dad had, he was the tax assessor for our town. And I'm like 7 or 8 years old, and the new tax assessment comes out, and there's these people at our front door ringing the doorbell, screaming at my mom, right? Like, because their taxes are going up. And I'm like, I'm never getting into real estate. This is not a profession for me. The furthest thing I want to do is be in real estate. So anyway, my dad brings me this property. He says, I'm an appraiser. I have the contractors, and, we're going to, you have to buy this. And at the time I was probably making around 12 or 13,000 a year as a chef. Right. And properties were selling for around 20,000. This one was selling for 20,000, and fixed up, it would be around 65,000. It needed about $20,000 worth of work. So my dad's like, you have to buy this house. Like, this is my first dipping my toe in the water of real estate investing. And it's like a home run. It's like, you can't fail on this, right? So I buy the property, and a few days later, working in Atlantic City, I was living down the shore. My parents came to visit. My dad and I were talking. We were on the beach. We were talking about, how I was gonna handle this flip and who I had to talk to. And my dad has a massive heart attack and dies right there on the beach. So I went from like a home run like situation to like, okay, so now, there's a lot of emotion going on in this whole thing. I don't want to proceed. I'm lost. I don't know what to do. Anyway, I got through that flip. Took me a lot longer. I still made about $17,000, $18,000, $19,000. Can't remember exactly on that, which was a year and a half's worth of salary to me. And it kind of hooked me onto real estate. And so that's how I got into real estate. So nothing ever goes as planned is the story there. So,
okay.
How about you, Mark? When did you get into real estate?
Well, so for those of you that don't know me, I'm Mark, the lender Abramovich, and I started investing in 2005. And I started with vacation rentals in the Pocono Mountains of Pennsylvania. And of course, the joke is if I knew then what I know now, I'd own that community. But I didn't know. So I started investing, and my journey took me to lending, which I love passionately. But initially, when I started lending, I made a mistake. I made mistakes on 4 projects to the tune of about $129,000. That's real. And what's funny is my older son, listened to me preparing this talk one time, and he turns around and goes, "Dad, did you really lose $129,000?" And I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "Does mom know?" So I said, "Yeah, luckily mom does know. She's in the business with me." That's a conversation I'm glad I never had to have. Honey, I lost $129,000. But I realized that I couldn't sustain such losses. And what's interesting is I couldn't sustain the money losses, but more important, I couldn't sustain the time. It's a time suck to unravel such mistakes. So I did what I do best, and I threw myself into learning more about lending, real estate. I took classes on it. And, as a result, I've developed tools and techniques that have helped myself and my clients have better, safer, more profitable projects. And, as a result, I've analyzed thousands of deals. I've been a part of over 130 transactions valued over $25 million. So that's a little about me. I just want to say that why am I doing this now is because along the way, I saw that people were making mistakes they didn't necessarily have to make. And I think all of us work hard and we're all hungry. And I think we, if we can avoid some of the pitfalls, we can have an easier time and, reach better success. So what Rob and I have put together for everyone tonight is how to have more time and fun by being an investor's agent. So if this is you guys, just raise a hand, nod. What we're here to talk about is how to have more opportunities, right? How to have more opportunities for money, time. And, I think everybody forgets to account for this, fun. If you haven't noticed, even on this call, initially when we're talking, we're all happy to see each other. We're all happy to be on a call together, to talk, because we've made it fun to be in this business. So as we've talked, Rob has been investing since 1984 with, if you guys do the math here, he was right under, and we were talking before the call began, he's at over 7,000 transactions total. Okay. In my case, as I mentioned, thousands of projects analyzed and over 130 transactions done. So this is a great opportunity, right? Rob, I think you can tell everybody as a listing agent, right? If somebody came to you and said, "This is the property I want to sell," it's a great opportunity.
In today's market, that property's on the market 3 to 4 hours with 5 to 10 offers. That's just the way the market is right now.
Okay. But then there's a little more opportunity that everybody can have, right? at least, hey, on this property, I mean, that door is worth its weight in gold, apparently, compared to the rest of this. But this is more opportunity if you know what to do with this property, who to talk to. And then I just want to say that this is even more. And while this is meant as a joke, that view, if you tear this down and build it new, is worth everything.
Mark, can I just add in there? So you basically showed 3 real estate properties. One fixed up, maybe an investor property, maybe somebody selling it as a real estate agent. It's quick. Number 2, I think I see a Ring doorbell on that one. I don't know why, but number 2 is a property that I'd be looking for, something that I could fix up, something, an investor would really be interested in. And the third one, maybe there's a builder there that, can put a beautiful home on there.
So what we're pointing out is investors, rather real estate agents, oftentimes are focused on this property. That's what's in everybody's mind, that you're dealing with this perfectly fixed up property that somebody is selling or somebody is looking to buy. And what you're missing as an agent is these 2 opportunities, knowing what to do with these properties. And this is where working with an investor comes in. And what you want to become is a center of influence. You want to be able to connect everybody around you. So when you're prospecting for those properties, you're still talking to all the listing agents, you're still talking to all the different people. And so when you have that fixer-upper available, you want to be able to have an outlet for the properties that don't quite fit into the box. Rob?
Yeah. So becoming the center of influence is really an important piece of everything that you do, because you want to be the problem solver for an investor, for your clients. And the way to do that is to build lists, right? Is to have massive amounts of lists. And these are just a few of the lists, right? You have an investor list, a lender list, a contractor list, an agent list, even though you're one yourself, right? Like an agent list, and knowing what agents work with what. Some agents only work with new construction. Some agents only work with investors. Some agents don't work with either, right? Insurance agents, attorneys, engineers. The bigger your lists, the more lists you have, the better off you are. I can't tell you how many times in a week I get a call. I need a plumber. I need an electrician. I need this. I need that. And when I can provide that to them, it's kind of like JJ provides this forum without a cost. I do that. I become the go-to person. And then I get referrals from that. I get all kinds of referrals. So I do want to talk about the investor list. And I'm going to give you something that you can do right now to connect with other investors. And I may have touched on this earlier when we were talking, but join as many Facebook and Instagram and all the groups that you can, right? Craigslist used to be the place, but today it's all on Facebook and investor, in all kinds of investor groups. And if you want to build your investor list, right, post something on there like off-market property coming on the market soon. DM me, IM me, your contact information, email, like JJ was talking about earlier. Build your list, get contacts, because when you ultimately get a property that you may be wholesale. Well, now you have a list of 25, 30 investors. You'll have hundreds of investors reaching out to you in minutes, right? And over the next day, you'll build your list 200-300 people in every group. And when I first started investing, people only invested in their backyard. Today, I think I heard JJ say earlier, he has a property in Ohio, and Mark has properties all over the place, right? So people are willing to go wherever they have to go today to get a deal.
What's interesting is, as you guys are looking at this list, these lists to build, Rob was mentioning earlier, as we were chatting, he mentioned that even though he is a real estate agent himself, what he will do is, if an agent, the area that he's in, there are thousands of agents. Now, those agents know that if they bring him a deal, then they will actually get the commission as the selling agent, right? Or as the agent that brought him the deal, and he will give them the listing on the back end as well. So that agent has already prospected, right? This is one of the takeaways of how to have more money and how to have more time as an investor's agent. You're already prospecting. You are already looking for properties. And when you come across a property that is not ready to go, you can bring it to your investors and have them pick it up. Okay. So you want to have that investor list of whom you can take the property to, because you are now picking up commissions on both ends. You're bringing the property to them and getting them to buy it, and then you're potentially the agent listing it on the back end as well. Okay.
One other thing that I would say is that, especially if you want to focus on one area for investing, right? Like your neighborhood or county or wherever that is that you'll often find that there are specific agents that work with a lot of investors, and you'll just, if you're driving around and you see these flips and notice who the real estate agent is, and then reach out to that real estate agent and say, hey, I'm an investor, I'm looking for a property, and you'll get on their list. Because what happens is that some agents become REO agents for banks, which is banks take properties back. Doesn't happen very often in this market, but not too long ago, we were in a market where there was a lot of bank-owned properties, right? And you'll have an agent that's an REO agent, which means real estate owned, right? So a bank owns the property. They usually work with one agent in an area who might get hundreds of properties. And that guy is really a valuable agent because he's getting first crack at these properties. And the way it works with an REO agent is the bank will call him and say, here's a list of 20, 30 properties that we're about ready to put on the market. And he gets to go out there and look at them all way ahead of time. So he's going to tip off his investor. I'm going to have this one coming up. He's going to pre-sell those REOs ahead of time. This isn't the market for that, but that market will come around at some point. I've seen markets go through cycles, and we're not in that cycle, but getting to know the investors, getting to know the real estate agents is really important now. As
you're prospecting and you have this outlet, what ends up happening is the the properties are flowing to you. You've got all of these people talking to you for the different needs. This is where your opportunity and time comes in, because you've already invested the time in prospecting. You have already invested the time looking for properties. And the money part of it is that you are now doing more deals. The fun part comes in that as you're making these lists and you're meeting people, go have lunch with them, have dinner with them, and you get to hang out. And as you're forming relationships, these people become your friends. And you can, and as you're doing business, one of the guiding principles I went by is I want to do business with my friends, and I want to do, basically I want to do business with my friends. And so my clients are my friends and vice versa. So know the language. As you're making these lists and as you're working with investors, you have to know the lingo, right? You have to understand what is it that you can offer an investor. An investor, the simple formula is After repair, right? How much can an investor offer for a property? This is what you can do for them to make their life easier and to be more valuable to an investor, which is you want to look for a deal that's a deal for them. And what you have to remember is that when you're dealing with an investor, the investor must have a profit. Okay, this is what separates an investor from a consumer buyer. They must have a profit. They're not doing it to live in the property. They are doing it for a profit. So you have to, when you're calculating what an investor is able to offer on a property, or if it's a deal for an investor, you have to subtract out the profit for them, which will give you the maximum allowable offer. It will give you what your investor is going to be able to offer for this property. So as you're speaking with either the listing agent or as you're speaking with the seller, you can already have an idea of what the numbers need to be for a property that's not an easy to sell property that's just going to go on the market, but is a property that goes to an investor. You can calculate out what that investor is going to need to pay. Now, your different opportunity types are your retail client, right? This wonderful property ready to go. You have your fix and flip. This is, this is an opportunity for some investors that you're working with to fix and flip. And then there's the opportunity of a buy and hold. Is the property a property meant for an investor who's interested in buying and holding? And as these opportunities come across your desk, you will be able to determine who you should be talking to move them, right? To be an agent for them. Who is your end buyer? Is it an investor who's interested in holding it? Is it an investor interested in fixing and flipping it? Or is it for a retail client who just needs a house to move into?
Mark, I think we should probably add one more category to that.
Sure.
Would be the Airbnb, because more and more the Airbnbs are way more profitable than the classic buy and holds, right? Like most investors on a buy and hold will net out of a property between $300 and $500 a month, right? An Airbnb, depending on where it's at and where it could be up to $2,000 or $3,000 a month profit, right? So I think we need to add another category in there, and that's one of those categories that's emerging in the real estate market.
As an investor's agent, right? As an agent who has this breadth of not just consumer but also investors that they work with, you'll be able to know what to do with these opportunity types as well. So are you guys pumped up? Excellent. So what Rob and I have put together, this presentation is brief. It's a Wednesday evening. There's only so much that we can pack into it, and we will talk about it more. But what we're offering is a 6-week course, 12 hours total, where we'll have content as well as Q&A. So every week, it's purposely spaced out to once a week so that you guys can implement and then come back and ask us real questions. What's really happening? What are you coming across? And for us to answer real questions. So in week 1, Rob will talk about how to find a deal.
So finding the deal is where you make the money, right? This is like the most important piece of it. When you find the deal, and there's a lot of ways to find deals today, using some advanced techniques like skip tracing and trying to find people, and just basically some of the easy things are, what I'll teach you right now is drive the neighborhood, look for distressed properties, look for properties that, the lights aren't on, that it looks like it's a problem, and then figure out who owns that property and then try to make them an offer. And if you can get their number through a skip tracing service, you can find out what's going on, because there's a lot of programs that, for the savvy investor, like there's been a lot of times where somebody's walked away from a property, and I call them up and I say, listen, I can get you $2,000 or $3,000 from the lender, if you'll do a short sale or do whatever. And so there's a lot of different things that you can do to find these properties.
So as you can see here, in week 1, we'll talk about targeting, targeted deal, how to market for it, prospecting, and techniques to get a property. In week 2, we will cover analyzing a property, whether it's a residential buyer that should be your client, or whether it's a fix and flip, or is it a buy and hold opportunity? And we will actually go over how to analyze the numbers, dive deep and see if it makes sense as a flip, if it makes sense as a rental. And the opportunity for you is that while you are able to work with investors, if you yourself are interested in investing in real estate, then this will help you as, again, you're prospecting for others, or as properties are coming across your desk, you are the first person to see them, and you will know how to analyze and see if a deal is a deal, if it's a good deal, if it's a bad deal, or what needs to happen with it. In week number 3, we will talk about funding deals. What are the capital sources available to you and your investors, as well as how to acquire it? What are the different ways what are the different ways of buying the property? Is it just a straight sale? Is it a short sale? Is it, so the different ways of buying them and funding them. In week 4, we'll cover raising capital. So again, whether it's for your investor that you're working with, or if you yourself are interested in investing in real estate, we will talk about raising capital, whether it's personal money, friends, family, your own, whether it's from people you meet and who become your private lenders, whether it's institutional money, right? Whether it's banks, hard money companies, credit unions. And as a bonus, we're going to talk about being the money. If you are a real estate agent working with investors, those investors need capital to do deals. And you have the opportunity to not only get the commission as a real estate agent, but you can actually participate as an investor or a lender on the deal and make more money that way.
Yeah, in week number 5, we're going to talk about fixing the property, right? Like how you handle inspections, whether you do a pre-inspection and gear your renovation towards that. The sex appeal, and what I mean by the sex appeal is like I do different things on different properties. Like I'll put a flat screen 70-inch TV in each property. They're like $500-$600 from Best Buy. It's something that a person wants, but wouldn't spend the money necessarily on their own. Like I want a 70-inch TV for my basement, and I can't get approval from my wife, right? So I'd like to throw one in on the family room or whatever where I'm going to go. It's your kind of signature. The sex appeal is like your signature as an investor of what you're going to do. Like whether you're going to put a double wall oven in, whether you're going to put one of these cool faucets that when you turn on the cold water, there's an LED in the faucet that shows that the water's blue, it's cold, and red, it's hot. Whatever that cool thing that you're going to do that the people will know, when they walk in, this is a Rob Hanson deal or a Mark Abramovich deal because of the way you've done it. And then, get down to the renovation nitty gritty. Like, you have to really know, like, I've made more mistakes in real estate investing than most people will ever make in their whole careers. Right. I've bought properties that, I overlooked or missed foundation issues or just major issues I've missed, underground oil tanks. And it's, it's a problem. So we'll go through that on how to go through a property to evaluate it and understand what's going to be involved in the renovation.
As the investor's agent, what you're there for is to let them know what they need to do. You become the market expert that the investor can rely on to know, well, okay, this is the size of the TV we'll need to put into this property to really make it pop. This is the feature that we want to put in, whether it's a pot filler over a stove or whether it's a shower panel in the master bathroom. You become that, that center of knowledge.
That expert, because you're looking at all the properties that are coming on and being sold and what features are in these properties and how you can add extra value.
And finally, in week 6, he'll be talking about the difference for renovations, whether it's for a rental or whether it's for a flip, whether it's for a consumer buyer, and the different techniques to sell.
It's really all about the market and where you want to be at in the market. If you're in a high-end neighborhood, you have to do high-end things. If you're in a lower-end neighborhood, you don't do granite countertops. You don't do high-end appliances. So it's really about learning what renovation you're going to actually do. And grab and holds are a little different renovated than flips, right? So, and the different techniques that you're going to use to sell these properties and who you're looking for from the buyer, who's your buyer.
What we're offering is a 6-week class on this. And, if you were to get the commission just on the buy side and the sale side of a, $300,000 to $400,000 deal, if you were to get a single commission, it could be as much as $27,000 if you were to find the property, right? Like Rob was mentioning, if an agent brings him a property that he buys from them, well, on a $300,000 deal, a 6% commission rate there is, they tell you never do math on the fly.
Well, in today's market,
it's 18,000.
Yeah,
it's 5. Okay. So so if you were to just get a single extra deal out of the information we'll be providing, whether it's on how to find the property or how to raise the capital to make the deal happen, or knowing how to analyze it and take it to the right source or right client, or knowing how to fix it better and have an easier time selling it, whether knowing how to fund it and or how to sell it, easily, just a single commission can be worth 18,000 to you. What we're offering is for, a 6-week course for an investment of $497, 12 hours with us, answering questions, sharing real information out of the real deals that we've done. And if you would like to know more about it, or if you would like to sign up for the class, just visit mearsgroupllc.com/courses. And this is going to be running 6 weeks, last 2 weeks of February, and then 4 weeks in March on Wednesdays from 12 to 2 Eastern. This is our contact information if you'd like to reach out, whether by phone or email. All right. It's been a pleasure being here with you guys.
And Mark, that was a fantastic presentation. You guys got
Thank you.
a ton of value. I know we got questions are coming at us, and we'll have more questions coming in. So stick around for you guys on the call. We're going to continue with the questions. If you guys are watching the YouTube channel, please subscribe. If you guys haven't subscribed, jump onto us again for a future call. We got more coming up, more guest speakers. And if you're not with us right now, you just watch us on YouTube. We'll see you guys next week. Over now.